So when it comes to going back to issue 19, from my understanding from everything around the rumors, was that initially the plan was to have Shadow sacrifice himself, end up knocking himself unconscious, but then the zombies would be able to reform and then infect him. But Sega ultimately said no to that. So was the idea that, but however, when I ended up kind of bringing this up last time, you kind of brought it up. You kind of ended up saying like you felt like you could have done something a little bit better. So I'm kind of curious, like, I know you can't go into too much detail, but was the position ultimately you're looking to they ultimately said no, and you just had to try to find some way to still have them more or less get out of the plot for that arc?
I don't know where you got those rumors from because that's pure fanfic.
Okay.
The original thing that I wanted to do was that Shadow, in his arrogance, thought that he would be immune because he was the ultimate life form, and that as the virus encroached upon him, he'd take off his limiter rings and use that Chaos Shadow kind of pseudo form to burn it off, thinking that he had the power to overwhelm it, and that it just continued to adapt until he was overcome, and that ultimately it was his hubris that brought him down. Ultimately, it was decided that introducing the limiter rings was too much to do at that juncture, along with the Chaos Shadow form. So without that kind of central conceit, it just came out as it did. Where I say I probably could have done something better is, instead of sticking to my guns and trying to maintain the structure as it was, even though we were on a limited amount of time for revision, I should have just stepped back and looked at the whole thing and said, oh, okay, how do I approach this from a completely different angle rather than try to make what was there work? Maybe I would have found a more satisfying way to bring things about, but that's all in the past, and what's done is done.